I've just sucked 1 year of your life away. What did this do to you? How do you feel? Interesting.
2016 has been, in the estimation of most everyone I know, the worst. Literally, the worst. Sure, that's strong, but it has become, well, not quite a joke, but the dominant meme of the last year. It all began on January 6th with the death of Pat Harrington, Schneider, from One Day at a Time. We were all a little sad. I mean, to know Schneider is to love Schneider, but we didn't collectively lose heart. He was 86. By any accounting, that's a good life. But whatever goodness we believed the world held started to be taken away from us during one fateful mid-January week. First, it was Bowie, then Alan Rickman, Dan Haggerty, and Glenn Frey. To top it all off, January concluded with the loss of Abe Vigoda. It wasn't any better in February. 3 days in, Morris White is gone. Then Vanity and Harper Lee. Something was really not right. We thought we'd get a reprieve in March, but we were just being silly. Nancy Reagan, George Martin, Keith Emerson, Fife Dog, freaking Fife Dog. The man was only 45 years old. And it was at this point that we all started to suspect that 2016 had a nasty trick up its sleeve.
I got a bad feeling about this.
When Gary Shandling died 4 days later, it was like the year had contemptuously spit in our eye. Merle Haggard, Doris Roberts, China, April wasn't looking any better, and then the bottom fell out. April 21, Michelle McNamara, and Prince. Frankly, 2016 was all downhill from there. Here are the highlights, if we can even call it that. Muhammad Ali, Pat Summitt, Elie Wiesel, Gary Marshall, Kenny Baker, Fivish Finkel, John McLaughlin, Gene Wilder, Lady Chablis, Edward Albee, W.P. Kinsella, Bill Nunn, Arnold Palmer, Shimon Peres, Tommy Ford, Janet Reno, Leonard Cohen, Robert Vaughn, Leon Russell, Gwen Ifill, Holly Dunn, Sharon Jones, Florence Henderson, Ron Glass, Greg Lake, John Glenn, Alan Thicke, Zsa Zsa Gabor, George Michael, Ricky Harris, Barbara Tarbuck, Carrie Fisher, and then Debbie Reynolds. All year long, we symbolically raised our fists to the sky and declared our hatred of this particular trip around the sun. My personal running gag was generating a list of cultural icons. We wanted to make sure we're in the protective bunker in a secure location with an IV drip of the elixir of life. I mean, what kind of sick joke was this year? Surely this was not the first year in history to feature such a rash of celebrity deaths, but wow, did it feel like it. Thankfully, there were not a lot of people chiding their friends for their sadness. We all know intuitively that the mourning of somebody we've never met makes little sense, but this is one area of life that seems to gather in anyone who wants to participate. When someone we all grew up with dies, we all feel it. My suspicion about our collective anger at 2016 is rooted in this idea. A combination of hard living in some cases, old age, and the internet has made us more aware of deaths than we perhaps were in the past. And for the vast majority of us who are grieving their loss, the list of those who died represents an all-star cast of human flourishing. These were musicians who opened up our hearts and minds. These were writers who expanded our worldviews. They were actresses and actors who lived out morality plays right in front of us on the big or small screen. Important to me personally are the women who died in 2016, women who defined and redefined what it meant to be powerful, vulnerable, fierce, and honest. And it seems weird to say it, but we had relationships with these people. To look at the list of celebrities who died is to look at a list of people who taught us how to be human. These were not nameless people with interchangeable faces. They were, in a way, members of our extended family. And this isn't a silly feeling. This is just the way human beings work. At least as far back as the Stoic philosophers and ancient Israelites, we have been taught that human beings are fundamentally social. Archbishop Desmond Tutu, in his book No Future Without Forgiveness, describes that fundamentally social reality with the South African word Ubuntu. He says, to say Ubuntu is to say my humanity is caught up, is inextricably bound up in yours. We belong in a bundle of life. We say a person is a person through other persons. As humans, we develop in relationship with other people. We know what is right and wrong, what is good and true and beautiful because of the social world we live in. It starts with our families, but quickly expands to include our social communities, our work life, and the folks who share whatever hobbies we develop. Each time we expand our circle, we learn and we grow, and so it makes sense that we also grieve the death of celebrities. According to therapist Patrick Wanis, we also grieve more today over the death of a celebrity because of the narrative. The constant bombardment of every occurrence and every detail of the life of a celebrity leads us to believe that we have an intimate connection with them, that they and their lives are a part of us. We grieve for celebrities because we know them, and that knowing makes them important to us. But people die all the time. Important people die all the time. History-altering people die all the time. What is it about this year? What is it about these people? About a month ago, my wife's grandmother died. That day, the mantle of responsibility for the family was passed to a new generation, and I wondered what her kids were feeling. I wondered if they were a little nervous about living up to the expectation of being the generation in charge. It was, now, all on them. There was no more calling mom and dad. They were the ones who would now be called. I think it's the same with this generation of celebrities that have left us this year. Even though many of them had not made music or films for decades, there was always the hope that they still could. They were still here, but now they're not. 2016 has become a fixed point in time, it seems, when one generation gives way to another in a manner that I've never known in my lifetime or have ever learned about. The responsibility of leading the charge, of setting the pace, of beautifying the world has fallen to those of us who are left. And I wonder if we're more than a little scared. I wonder if the monumental nature of the task before us is what, ultimately, made 2016, literally, the worst. Oh, and the Red Solo Cup guy died too. You are cruel, 2016. You are so very cruel.
Hey, what's up, you beautiful tens of viewers? Long time no see. Happy New Year. I hope you enjoyed this video essay. This is a new format I'm going to be working with. I'm going to release one every single week. So if you liked it, make sure that you click right over there, and subscribe. Make sure and share it with your friends. I'd love to grow this little community that we've got going. I've got a lot of ideas of questions that I want to ask, things I want to explore. So I'd love for you to join with me and travel down this road. We'll see where it takes us. So I hope 2017 for you is beautiful and bountiful.